Why The Lord of the Rings is not in public domain? Who owns intellectual property rights to Tolkien's legacy? Is The Rings of Power adaptation or just a fan fiction? And do the heirs of Tolkien own intellectual property rights to Quenya? This is podcast Copycast. My name is Victor gorsky-mochalov.
My name is Anton. We are here today to speak about Tolkien's legacy, and of course we will have all our answers in maybe 30 minutes. Set the speed of this video or this podcast to 125, I suppose, and shall start.
The first question, have you ever read The Lord of the Rings or just watched movies?
Yeah, I read it. I watched all the movies, but I don't think that I really carefully watched it. You know, when you sit down before your television and you starts the first film in, of course, in version of Peter Jackson in director's cut, and you spend around 12 hours of your life to fully watch it for, of course, one time. I never did it, but I know that a lot of people do that every year. Or maybe every season.
I've read The Lord of the Rings trilogy a few weeks ago, my first time, and actually my first thought was that the language in this book is quite old-fashioned, is really old. A lot of old words and phrases, and it looks like that the work is very old, and it looks like it must be in public domain, but it's not.
Of course it's not, because there's no lot of time since the death of John Ronald Reuel Tolkien, and we can just think about it, and we can use the Copyright Designs and Patents Act of Great Britain, which is dated on 1988. And see there that it should be 70 years from the death of the author to work to be in public domain. But this is the simple answer, and a lot of people use this answer, but it's not exactly, and it's not quite, maybe it's not quite full answer to our question, because we of course should use other act which was in force when Tolkien first published his books and his works, and of course when he died. But this is the not simple answer, this is the right answer. But still, Lord of the Rings is not in the public domain. No one work and no one book for which Tolkien is an author is not in public domain now.
Moreover, in different countries, this term after which the work becomes a public domain differ. So it means that in different countries, works of John Ronald Reuel Tolkien will be in public domain in different years, and but in some countries there is a rule that in case in the country where the work was published first, this work becomes public domain. Then in our country,
transfers,
this work also becomes public domain. Quite easy.
Yeah, of course, but it's the general story about any franchise you want and any franchise you want to use. First, first of all of creators look for United States market, maybe in the United States jurisdiction, and maybe European Union, and in sometimes something like China market and India market, so the really huge ones. And if the Lord of the Rings or other works created by Tolkien is in public domain in maybe is in public domain now in some small country or a small jurisdiction, you will never want to use this and to create any content with Tolkien's franchise, because you never get back your investments there, because you can't use it still in every single giant market on the earth.
Sure. So, anyway, works of John Ronald Reuel Tolkien are not in public domain right now, and it looks like they will be in public domain in 20 years or something like that. It doesn't matter. So it would be interesting to understand who owns copyrights to all these works that was created by Tolkien. And usually the answer looks a bit confusing, or very confusing, for a lot of people who are trying to understand this issue. But I have made a small investigation, and it looks like it's not so complex as I thought, because actually we have two main players who own some intellectual property rights to works created by Tolkien and any legacy of Tolkien. The first player, the main player, is the Tolkien Estate. This is a foundation ruled by heirs of Tolkien, and they, by default, own copyright to all books created by Tolkien.
To every work, and everything what Tolkien created while he was alive, of course.
Yes, and by default, they also have any right to adapt these works, make films, games, and so on. But before his death, John Ronald Reuel Tolkien sold some part of his exclusive rights to some company named, something United Artists or something like that, some company in America. And in a few years, as I understand, this company sold these exclusive rights to adapt The Lord of the Rings novel and The Hobbit to the Saul Zaentz company. Its company who was ruled by Saul Zaentz. And it means that this company, Saul Zaentz company, in particular the Middle-earth Enterprises, the legal entity that owns this part of copyright. And this Middle-earth Enterprises has exclusive rights to adapt The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, so it means they have exclusive right to make films, games, some adaptations, and so on. And in 2022, Middle-earth Enterprises was bought from Saul Zaentz company by some other company.
By Embracer Group. Embracer Group is one of the huge companies which makes any entertainment content. They are a strong actor on the games market. They are trying now, as I understand, to get some positions on the film or series markets, so it's really a huge company.
And this deal didn't change anything, so we still have two main players in this market of Lord of the Rings.
But
I just want to summarize that. So if you want to if you want to adapt in any way the Lord of the Rings novel or The Hobbit, you should get permission from the Middle-earth Enterprises. But if you want to do anything else,
so yeah, in all other cases, you should go to Tolkien Estate, to
Right,
Tolkien's
correct.
heir. Yeah, but I think we should mention that in adaptation here means not only new fan fiction, it means to create any new content which is not a book itself. So if you want to reprint if you want to reprint Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit in its original, and you want to print books and sell them, you of course should still go to Tolkien Estate, not to the Middle-earth Enterprises, because they only have the rights for all of the adaptations when you change the form of your work. And what is really interesting here is that we never saw, as I understand this correctly, we never saw the original license, or we can't do it easily. Of course, some of human beings had seen this license, but we don't have it in internet or something like that, and we don't know what exactly was stipulated in this original license between John Tolkien and United Artists in 1968. So it creates a lot of problems there and a lot of disputes there.
And I'm not sure even that it was a license agreement. Maybe it was just agreement about maybe United Artists just bought some piece of exclusive rights, but this is just a legal issue and legal details. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but the reality here is the following. Middle-earth Enterprises, which is the part of Embracer Group now, already creates video games, films, series, or
tabletop
games. Yeah, so a lot of entertainment, Tolkien's Lord of the Rings franchise.
Yes, and it's important to understand that it's not only about copyrights. Middle-earth Enterprises also registered hundreds of trademarks protecting some elements of the world of the Lord of the Rings, like such words as Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Baggins, Bilbo, Frodo, Aragorn, The Return of the King, Gollum, Gandalf, Galadriel, and so on and so on and so on. And the Tolkien Estate, who is ruled by heirs of Tolkien, owns much less trademarks. As I understand, they own such trademarks as Tolkien, Silmarillion, and signature of Tolkien.
So everything which is not connected with the with this adaptation rights, which was transferred, which was gave to Middle-earth Enterprise in final. So it's again, it's very interesting because their trademark portfolio is filled with the word trademarks, where this such cool trademarks like visual trademarks or sound trademarks or I don't know other sensible trademarks, they don't have it.
I think a lot of these trademarks owned by Warner Brothers, the company who owns copyrights to film based on The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And yes, of course, Warner Brothers did these films under the license agreement with Middle-earth Enterprises, but these films are they own works. Copyrights to these films belongs to Warner Brothers, and I think that they registered some visual trademarks and maybe sound trademarks. And this is interesting that even after the day when The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit become public domain, the Middle-earth Enterprises and the Tolkien Estate will still own trademarks for some keywords like The Hobbit. And it's important because, for example, the Middle-earth Enterprises often attacks some companies and people who are trying to use the word Hobbit or other words from the Lord of the Rings in commercial way.
Yeah, the most interesting story there is it originates from 1970s, where Dungeons and Dragons first, or maybe
something like that,
was on her dawn. I say it like that, and they created a lot of rules for their game, for a role-play game, and used their word Hobbit. They came to Dungeons and Dragons and said, you can't use this word Hobbit because it was created first time by Tolkien, and now we have a trademark for this word, so you should take it away.
I remember. Now this company who owns intellectual property rights to Dungeons and Dragons is the Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, Wizards of the Coast. Yeah, of course. And we never saw after that any Hobbit in Dungeons and Dragons in D&D, and we just see the word halfling to mention this race to. And what's more interesting, that halfling is the synonym in Tolkien's franchise and Tolkien's legendarium for Hobbit. So Hobbit and halfling is the same things, but halfling as a word has wider use than Hobbit, and the first time it was mentioned by other author, not by Tolkien. So the halfling is still there in D&D, and halfling in halflings are in other games, in other franchises, and hobbits is not.
Actually, there are a lot of many other funny issues with intellectual property connected to Dungeons and Dragons. For example, some years ago, the Wizards of the Coast asked a studio named White Wolf or something like that to create some adventures for Dungeons and Dragons. And this studio, White Wolf, they got a license for some common content related to the world of Dungeons and Dragons, but this license didn't include the pantheon of gods. So the studio, they was forced to create their own names for the same gods.
Something like that happened before in our history, you know. Then, then some guy was lived in Greece and made his way to Rome and create Rome and create Rome Empire and the Rome Republic, and they had the pantheon of gods, which are really Greece gods, but with, you know, other names.
Maybe the ancient Rome had some intellectual property rights to their gods. That's why Greeks had to create their own names for the same gods, actually.
Maybe like that.
Okay.
I think we will discuss it a little bit later when we will speak about Quenya.
Okay.
Elfish.
As we discussed, some rights related to adaptation of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, it would be nice to discuss a bit about Rings of Power TV series.
Yeah, because as you could think, there are two main players. Yeah, it's the Tolkien heirs, Tolkien Estate, yeah, or Tolkien Estate, and Middle Earth Enterprise. And now we have third player, a really huge player, maybe greater than two of these companies together.
Why? It's just Amazon, if you mean Amazon.
Yeah, I mean Amazon.
They're just a licensor. Like
yeah, they're
Warner
just
Brothers.
licensor, but they are bigger. They have
yes.
a lot of money,
money.
really a lot of money. And in 2017, they bought a license for $250 million. Just a license with the budget, with a price of, I don't know, with a price of production of new video game. It's or maybe some film.
Yeah, sure. And it looks like that this license includes only the rights to create just TV series, and maybe only 5 seasons, TV series based on The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and that's all. And it's a bit funny, because this TV series is not about the Third Age.
It's not about Lord of the Rings and
it's
not about Hobbit.
Silmarillion. This TV series is about the events that happened in the other book of Tolkien, Silmarillion, and they didn't bought rights to this book. So the main question, one of the main questions, is what is their TV series is based on, and the answer is that the TV series about Silmarillion is not based on Silmarillion, it is based on the appendix to The Lord of the Rings, because maybe if you ever read The Lord of the Rings trilogy, you know that after the third part, there is also an appendix where we can read some details of history of Middle Earth related to the Second Age.
Yeah, and these details after became Silmarillion, and of course there is a clash between IP rights to the Lord of the Rings and to Silmarillion, and Amazon guys, they are in position when they have right for one part of Legendarium of Tolkien, and they create content related to other part, and this is really funny, and this is because Amazon can't use a lot of things which after appears in the Silmarillion. They only can make their fanfiction about that based on what Tolkien gave us in appendix to The Lord of the Rings. And this is really funny because $250 million, and they are in such a bad position now.
But it looks like that they had a plan to make TV series related more to the Third Age and The Lord of the Rings, some prequel about Gimli or Legolas or something like that. And it looks like it anyway would be some fan fiction, but about Lord of the Rings. But now they make fan fiction about
fanfiction about
Silmarillion. Some sources say that Amazon came directly to Tolkien Estate to obtain a license to adapt The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit as a TV series. And this story is based on some idea that Tolkien
in 70s.
In 70s.
He didn't mention series in his original license.
When he sold some exclusive rights to United Artists and Soul Zane's company, he didn't sell any copyrights related to adaptation, just in TV series. But I don't believe in this version in two reasons. The first reason is that it looks like we know that in 2017 the Tolkien Estate and the Middle-earth Enterprises settled the lawsuit that came from 2012, and they concluded some secret agreement about what exactly Middle-earth can do with The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and what Tolkien Estate owns exactly. And
I think that they was forced to make this settlement in lawsuit because this is the court hearings and this is the case, and you never know what you will have at the end of this case. And not Tolkien Estate, not Middle-earth Enterprise wanted to have such a court decision because one of them would lost his part of the rights. Maybe they never had it, but they thought they have. And of course, they wanted to settle this as they both agree, not like court decide.
Sure. And we know, some sources say about that Tolkien Estate united with Middle-earth Enterprises after this settlement of the lawsuit to find someone to create TV series based on Tolkien's legacy. There was some competition between HBO, Netflix and Amazon, and the Amazon won. And it looks like that Amazon anyway made an agreement with not only Tolkien Estate but with the Middle-earth Enterprises. Moreover, we know that the name of the TV series
the name is Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. So you can't use this Lord of the Rings at the start of your name if you're Amazon who negotiated and who agreed only with the Tolkien Estate, because Tolkien Estate doesn't have rights for any adaptation of the Lord of the Rings book. So and this is adaptation, and you never could do this. And Tolkien Estate doesn't have right to trademark Lord of the Rings, which are obtained by Middle-earth Enterprise. So these two clues make us believe that this agreement between Amazon from one side was made with together Tolkien Estate and Middle-earth Enterprise on the other side.
So yes, and it looks like really Amazon. It looks like Amazon. I have two versions. On one hand, maybe Amazon concluded a license agreement only with Middle-earth Enterprises, and then just
without Tolkien Estate?
Without Tolkien Estate, it just got some advices from Tolkien Estate about how to make the TV series to be alongside with other Tolkien's works. Or maybe it was the agreement with three parties: Amazon, the Middle-earth Enterprises, and Tolkien Estate in some way. But actually it doesn't matter, we have what we have, and it looks like really, Amazon bought $250 billion just to make a TV adaptation for appendix of the Lord of the Rings. But okay.
But they still have brand Lord of the Rings. They have it in the name of their series, and of course, I don't know what term of this their agreement is, but maybe sometime in future they will have an option, just an option today, to create something in the Lord of the Rings franchise, in the third age of Tolkien's Legendarium. So this is the end of the first age of our Tolkien's podcast. So if you want to know what is with Quenya, with Elfish language, with what was totally created by Tolkien himself, and what intellectual property right appeared or disappeared sometime for this language, you shall subscribe to our channel and wait for the next episode. And maybe you want to give us any thumbs up, or maybe heart or something like that. Subscribe and wait, and it was very nice today to speak with you, our subscribers. Ciao.